Okay, hi. I never make movies anymore, especially fun movies. I thought I would really like to interview homeless or low-income people or whatever kind of people want to eat at Filling Empty Bellies about their exclusion. So I'd like to find out what they feel about the exclusion, what they're willing to put online, and see where it goes from there. I'd like to get some testimony. I can think of many people, and I've had many conversations off the record. So getting something down into sound bites, sometimes it really only takes a word or two to get the point across. And a lot of people just move on from what's going on down there. And I think we have to put things on the record, encourage free speech, encourage homeless people to respect their own rights and have self-respect, because right now they're sort of being brainwashed into abrogating their own rights to decent treatment just in exchange for a meal or a free pair of socks or whatever, and they have a lot more rights than that. So it's good to be getting some support in the community. The dirty looks hurt. The whole shunning process hurts. It hurt to say hi to Candy and have her give me a dirty look when I explained that Ozark Barak had kicked me out of Filling Empty Bellies and the Beacon House, I think because he read an email that wasn't even written to him, or he's exerting coercive control over Erin Carlson's ability to receive emails from her clients. And speaking to the director of that organization should not result in... Hey! Wow. Result in... yeah, well, I mean, it's obvious. He shouldn't be reading her email. And furthermore, she should not allow him to snoop in her email and then decide to do a complete exclusion, because I wanted to reach out to her personally about numerous homeless people reporting his sexual innuendo. It just could have been handled differently. I think a meeting would have been possibly desirable, as long as he wasn't there to throw his weight around and do his body language stuff that's kind of intimidating. Bullying is a word that comes up. I think that the homeless are being bullied. There's a lot of favoritism going on in terms of who gets what type of material. Some people complain they don't get nice tents, they get smaller tents, they get smaller supplies, they get lesser quality of things. There's definitely favoritism going on there. There's a concerted effort to get rid of women. I can think of 3 other women besides myself who have been excluded. There's an emphasis on women being very quiet, demure, and submissive, tolerating the sexual innuendo and the dangerous situations. So any woman who's more confident and to speak her mind seems to face targeting by Ozark. And then it was really tragic to hear Erin Carlson capitulating to his scorched earth policy of human relations when I'm on the phone with her and I'm saying, like, well, you said I'm welcome anytime, but Ozark called the Astoria Police Department to have me excluded. And she was like, oh, well, if Ozark says that, okay, well, I could put you on the phone with him. And then I could hear hesitation in her voice, because I've already told her he makes me uncomfortable when he's trying to chew me out for something, or chewing other people out, or threatening other people. And plus the sexual innuendo thing makes any interaction with him pretty uncomfortable, because why would he do sexual innuendo around the homeless? That's creepy. So then she's like hesitant, and I was like, yeah, I can handle it. So then she puts her dude on the phone, and then he's like, you are banned from the entire property of Beacon House and Lifeboat. And I was like, well, if you ever want to reconsider it. And he was like, have a nice day. And with her, I said, I don't see why you're making such a big deal about it, because having a reply, like a comment, even a complaint, I had a brainstorm of ideas and details and facts, and so it completely, pretty much DDoSed their system. And their only remedy for any personal failings is to kick out the complainer or shoot the messenger. So I spoke to a woman who's feeling very terrorized by the way they've treated me, and it sends a very loud and strong message to everyone else to shut up, to shun me, to give me dirty looks, to not talk to me. I think in some ways there's some empowerment going on, because it's like leading the charge, the avant-garde, staying the course and hitting the front line. It's the least I can do. I think I can't let the behavior go on. The edge I was on, which I don't like being hesitant. I'd much rather be extremely decisive and confident. But because I knew it was a gamble of losing my contact with people who could tell me valuable information, and being kicked out if I did make any kind of complaint, and I might forget to enunciate everything, so I felt that I definitely needed to put it in writing, because it took weeks to write this email. Then if I didn't put something in writing and something happened, such as him suddenly trying to kick me out the way he does to numerous homeless people, I would also not have the retaliation aspect as well documented. So it was very strategic. And oh my gosh, 6 minutes. We can do better, and you don't have to settle for such bad behavior. And the thing that was bugging me was disrespect. Is if you are formerly homeless and you want to walk into your little nonprofit and treat the homeless so meanly, you must have a fundamental disrespect of who they are or where they're coming from. And that disrespect he shows me and all these other people who are low income and struggling was the deal breaker for me. Is that when you feel that much palpable disrespect, somebody needs to stand up and say something, do something, say something. And the first person who whistleblowed about the sexual innuendo to me was confident that Erin would defend her partner, and that she was in on it, and she was not a safe person, essentially, to complain to. And the fact that she's a women's studies professor at Clatsop Community College, to me, is just like a distortion. It's like a smoke cloud. It's a distraction. It obscures the reality of what's going on, because the reality of what's going on is that domestic violence victims can't receive a meal, are frequently excluded or forced to interact with their abusers. They're being exposed to harassment on a daily basis from the clients, and innuendo from this director. Attempted cornering to me is a physical harassment, trying to lure me into your office to throw your weight around, and all these somebody actually mentioned all his goofy smiles that feel very flirtatious, and I noticed them. I thought he probably had a crush on me in some weird way, and it was just his little secret crush on me. And I'm like, okay, dude, yeah, okay, whatever. But it turns out he does this to numerous women who get similar weird vibes. So then he gets his angry, spiteful temper tantrum mode, and he's been raising his voice at, what's her name? Yeah, it's just, wow. Don't need to be a part of that. And I feel so free, so happy now that it's all over. I mean, is it all over? Maybe I'll hear from Kirk. Maybe I'll get it in writing. I will probably have to pen something to Erin directly herself and say, I have asked the head of your board of directors for the grounds for my exclusion in writing. He's not forthcoming. It's clear he's very busy. Can you hurry up and get that? Because they really... I mean, who wants to play with an organization that's that deeply entrenched in police statism? So if I set foot on your property, you want me arrested and taken to jail. For what? Eating a plate of rotten spinach? Ugh. And I have never once brought up the quality of food, but numerous people have mentioned food poisoning. I've bitten into a moldy bagel at least twice. The vegetables are often super questionable. They asked me to like wash and sort the molding, like wilting, dangerous looking greens, and I was just like, how could I? I'm not even touching that slime. Somebody described it as shit on a shingle. This wonderful local color, like funny aphorisms. Somebody said a sellout. There's a lot of understanding that there's a kiss up to the city, but I think it's going to backfire on the city. It's all backfiring because the city doesn't want to take responsibility for failings and hypocrisy. The city can't trust them. The ADA violations are an immense liability. Someone's asleep at the wheel. I'm going to blame Kirk Wintermute now. He can pull it together. He can advise them. I hope they are consulting with lawyers. I hope they are getting it together, tightening up the loose screws. I mean, that's what I hope to begin with, and I don't see why they have to be hostile to me, because I was a supporter, not an enemy. And it's like, if this is how you treat your supporters, like, good Lord, no wonder your enemies don't like you. You're mean to everyone. And I think the paranoia is marijuana related. I'm sorry, like, marijuana has its place, but I'm afraid, like, they're ultra paranoia that the neighborhood is out to get them, is that they're burning every single bridge they can possibly with their community. And it's, how can you serve the community when you're just exuding paranoia and hatred and negativity towards everyone? So when I called Columbia and Helly Hansen for clothing donations, that became his premise for, like, yeah, you can't call for donations without my permission. I was like, I'm just generally calling those companies that we have a homeless population. It's for the people who are homeless, not for his ego or his credit or his nonprofit. But I think he got kind of intimidated by some of my other activism that Erin Carlson was bragging. And she was like, oh, guess what? Yeah. So, yeah, he was like, oh, wow, she can sort of move mountains. I guess I should be afraid of her. So it kind of seemed like he went on attack mode against me after he found out about some other success. So